Third time's the charm, eh? Hello, friends. Thanks for coming back. My name is Julia, Knitney Knits. Um, my pronouns are they, them. And thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with me today. If you're new here, welcome. I am an American living in Ontario, Canada, and thanks for checking me out. And if you're not new here, thank you for coming back. A little bit of a different video today. I'm going to do a quick recap and show and tell from my very first Stitch North. I was at weekend 1 this year, which was this past weekend. It is currently Thursday the 30th of April. So folks are currently, I'm assuming as I speak, winging their way to Brampton, Ontario for weekend 2 of Stitch North. This is going to be a spoiler-free video, okay? So I did get like a swag bag with exclusive retreat goodies. That's all the way over there. I'm not going to show you that, just in case there's anybody going to be watching this who's going to Stitch North, who hasn't received theirs yet. I got home on Sunday evening. I finally feel a little bit recovered. I think a lot of that has to do with we're having some barometric pressure changes in Eastern Ontario right now. Monday and Tuesday were beautiful days, and then yesterday and today it's very rainy and overcast, and the barometric pressure just went like that, and so my chronic joint pain is flaring up, so you'll have to bear with me a little bit. I'm going to show you things that I was given, and then some things that I purchased. I say a lot. I need to work on that. So people at retreats are generous, to say the least. It was kind of overwhelming for me this past weekend. I succeeded in not crying, but it was close there. Just the amount of kindness and generosity that people show. Table 30 was my table with myself and Annette, Jill, Robin, Amberly, and Shawnee. We had a wonderful time, and we were sitting right next to Pam Reed of Pam's Crafty Corner, another Julia, Dee from Dee Stitches, and a couple of other women three other women whose names I did not catch, but who were really, really lovely. It was, I saw Vanessa on Sunday, who from Bethlehem, PA, who I had never met in person before. And that was so nice. She gave me a great big hug. Yeah, I met some great people. I met some cool vendors. It was a lot. If you're new here, you may not know that I have some significant mental health issues. I have generalized anxiety disorder. I have pretty significant social anxiety. I've never been formally diagnosed as neurodivergent, but everybody's pretty sure. So a little bit of a struggle bus in the days leading up to Stitch North. You know, just the nasty voices inside your head. No one's gonna like you and you're stupid. Those voices lie, by the way. You have that voice in your head. It's just your brain being a jerk. Don't listen to it. Easier said than done. I know. 5 minutes in, almost. What to say? Right on top is my, what I was given in the Smalls exchange. So I'm going to show that because it's a little bit, I don't want to say fragile, but it's delicate. And I live with 3 animals, so we're going to be careful. So the person who gave me my Smalls Exchange swap included this beautiful card. This is from Rosanna, who is Bright and Dusty here on YouTube and on Instagram. And Rosanna stitched this beautiful swan. It's called Bridget Swan by the Primitive Hare. And she stitched this on 40 count linen. The colorway is Ancient from Picture This Plus. And that was cool because I've never actually seen Ancient in the flesh before. It's really nice. And she finished it with this shaker box, which I was blown away by because shaker boxes are not inexpensive, and but it's beautiful. And I keep my metal wedding ring a lot of the times because I get significant swelling in my joints from the paint. I use a silicone wedding ring. So my metal wedding ring I'm keeping in here, and this other pro-Palestinian ring. And also I was given this cool Stitch North bracelet by Vanessa, so that can stay in here, and I'll just pop it on my wrist before I go to the next Stitch North. So thrilled, so touched and thrilled by this. So this is going to hang out on my bedside table, and I'm actually going to put a little note. Maybe I'll stick it to the inside lid just so I remember who made this and when and why. And you know, someday when I'm no longer here, my kid will have an idea of what this was, and if she decides to keep it, great. And if it ends up in a thrift store, then someone will know the story a little bit. But Rosanna just didn't do this and give me a lovely card. She also included, if I can find, where did it go? She included a beautiful needle minder. Here it is. She included this needle minder. I had them. Where'd they go? Here they go. Some buttons. And a homemade project bag. It's got, I guess this is Valentine's Day, and then this is St. Patrick's Day on the back, and it's lined. I'm keeping my Stitch North New Start in here right now. Absolutely above and beyond. I put my little You're Enough flat fold in, in a little in a little paper bag with some tissue paper and a card, and called it good. Need to up my game for next time. But yeah, Rosanna, thank you again. You are so talented and so generous, and I'm really happy. So that was the Smalls Exchange, which is an optional thing. At retreats that have Smalls Exchanges, they're optional. I'm going to the Gathering Thread retreat here in Ottawa in August, and I actually started the project that I am stitching for the Smalls Exchange at Gathering Thread. I started it at Stitch North, but I'll show you that in a minute when I show you my purchases. But right now we're still looking at the things I was given. A lovely woman, I don't know her name, just a lovely human, wandering through the tables at Stitch North, giving away hand-sewn, I don't know what this technique is called, hand sewn bookmarks. Just passing them out. So this one's mine, and it's gonna live, I think, in Anna Karenina. I'm not gonna be talking about books this time, but I'm like this how far into Anna Karenina. So we're just gonna. This can be a Tolstoy bookmark for right now. Yeah. So that was so kind. Annette, who was one of my table mates, gave us all these reusable bags from Ulster Weavers out of, I don't know if they are Canadian, British, or what. This will be great to keep in the car, just, you know, for random. I don't know that it's quite sturdy enough for groceries, but for going to a bookstore, for going to your local yarn store, to your local needlework shop, I think it would be perfect. Or just if you need another bag, like say you misunderestimated the amount that you were going to buy at a cross stitch retreat and you needed an extra bag to carry your purchases, I think this would work just fine. But it's got sheep and on it, and I love it because I love sheep. So thank you, Annette. I love this. I'm going to figure out how to fold this back up when I'm done filming, because it collapses. It's got little snaps to hold it together. So that's going to be after filming Julia's problem. And another kind human being who was just wandering around passing stuff out is Steph of Lake Girl Stitches on Flosstube and Instagram. She made these Stitch North 2026 iron-on patches. So I need to get a retreat shirt. Well, I do have a retreat shirt, actually. I purchased one. I don't have it here. I have one. Maybe I'll iron this onto that, and I'll just put patches and things on it. But this was so kind. And I said, wow, you're so kind. And she said, I like to share the love. And I get that. I wish I was together enough to also do that. Also, she gave this little spring ring with just little cards with birds on the front and her contact info on the back. I'm thinking these might be good for labeling whips in project bags, because there's enough space between her contact info and the bottom of the card. So that's what I think I'm going to do with these. But yeah, thank you, Steph. It's another bird. Thank you, Steph. I love that. And then Jill and Robin. Jill is Robin's mom. So Jill first prefaced this with saying that she has, quote, a shit ton of quilting fabric, end quote. But she pulled out a stack, and I mean a stack, of homemade project bags. Handed it to whoever was sitting next to her, I think Annette, and said, take 2. Everyone at the table take 2. These are not small project bags. Oh my gosh, Jill, I'm still freaking out about it. These are the 2 that I chose. They're beautiful. They've got like a little lanyard. This first one has little narwhals and icebergs and Arctic animals like penguins and seals and polar bears. Beautifully lined, just for free. Just made a bunch and gave them as table gifts at Stitch North. I'm just blown away. This one is has bees and pollinator plants on. Also beautifully lined. I can't with how generous other humans can be with their time, with their creativity, with their talent. I thank you again, Jill. And then Jill and Robin. Jill and Robin love stitching and quilting, obviously. Jill and Robin discovered, after purchasing quite a bit of 32 count linen, they don't care for stitching. I don't remember if it's they don't care for stitching on linen, or specifically neither of them cares for stitching on 32 count linen. And again, our table got first dibs. A stack of 32 count linen. Just here, go through it, take what you want. Everything else is going on the freebie table. So I chose 3. This one is Roxy. It's a 1/4 yard, so I guess it's a fat quarter. This is Dirty Porcelain. It's showing very, very yellow in the camera. It's peachier in real life. But it's a decent, like I could put Amira on here if I stitched Amira. A medium-sized sampler. I'm normally a 36 to 40 count linen kind of human. My eyeballs have been informing me lately that I need to start being humble. So I got some 32. Again, gifts. Not purchases yet, gifts. This one is beautiful. It's a little piece of linen from Bryn and Needle in the colorway Morning Fog. It's got some cool speckles in the middle of it that will probably get covered up by stitching, but I don't actually know what I'm going to stitch on this yet. Little fat 16th. Or is it a fat 8th? I don't know. It's 12.5 by 16 inches. I don't know what that is in freedom units. I'm not in freedom, in Celsius. In Celsius, I don't know what that, not Celsius, geez Louise, Julia. Metric. Centimeters. Good Lord. Okay, Morning Fog, really pretty. Don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet, but it's gonna be cool. And then, Jill and Robin, they had a freaking piece of lakeside linen. 32 count lakeside linen in vintage fawn, okay? And things may have changed, but last I last I checked, finding a decent sized piece of lakeside linen is like, it's the equivalent, finding that is like the equivalent of finding a cast iron skillet from the 1970s. Okay, it's basically gold. I almost felt bad swiping it, but only a couple of us at the table were really linen stitchers, so I got I got some lakeside linen. Thank you, Robin and Jill. I I okay. That's okay. That's almost all the stuff I was given. Shawnee brought some patterns for the freebie table because that's kind of a thing. I don't know if everyone does it, but like it's just a polite thing that at the retreats that I have gone to, you let your table mates or your friends have kind of first go at what you brought for the freebie table. So I got to check something off of my wish list. Shawnee had stitched and then brought the pattern Birds of a Feather by Blackbird Designs. This has been on my wish list for a while. It's funky. I love the birds. I love the colors. I love the way these flowers are stitched. I just like it. And Shawnee stitched it and brought the chart and said, "Who wants it?" And I said, "If nobody else wants it, I will take it, please." So maybe I don't know. I might keep that together. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Thank you, Shawnee. Okay. That's all the stuff that I was given. Now I can show you what I bought. Which looking at it, it's not a very big pile of stuff. But I did some shopping. Haven't in a while. Let's just go through. Stitchman Darcy was there. Had never met Stitchman Darcy before. Nice bloke. Look forward to talking to him again at any other retreats we encounter each other at. Actually, I got to speak to him at length on Sunday. He and his partner. He had a pattern. I think it had a black cat on it. A model on this gray Ada. Gray Expectations is the colorway. And I looked at it from across the room, and it was like the clouds parted and a little like sunbeam fell on the Ada and Angel started singing, because I have been looking for a gray Ada. I am designing a pattern. I am designing a workers' rights pattern. That's all I'm going to tell you. And I need a gray fabric. And I think Gray Expectations Ada from Stitchman Darcy is going to be perfect. So now I have to start working on that chart again. That's okay. And Mandy, I've talked to you about this. If you still want to model stitch it, we'll make it happen. So anyway, I was talking to Darcy about it, and he had actually sold out. This was Sunday. I didn't do any shopping on Saturday because I am becoming more observant in my religion the older I get, and I don't like to spend money unless it's an emergency on Saturdays. So I didn't ask about the fabric until Sunday, but it's not a big deal because I got home and I ordered some of Darcy's fabric from his Etsy shop. And I got a notification yesterday that it has been shipped or is getting ready to ship. So I didn't buy any fabric from Stitchman Darcy, but I did purchase this awesome skull needle minder with a black cat on. I'm honestly surprised that my child has not stolen this from me. But yeah, love it. Love it, love it. And I also discovered that apparently I actually really like Tiny Modernist. I don't have anything against Tiny Modernist. I fancy myself as someone who tends to prefer more classic, quote unquote, traditional, quote unquote, cross stitch. But if you look at what I actually stitch everything. I have a very eclectic set of tastes. So there's really, it's not surprising to you, people who watch me, to know that I went a little bit nuts. And by a little bit nuts, at Tiny Modernist, I bought 4 charts. None of them huge. I was sorely tempted by her book Goddess, though, guys. Oh my gosh. Like, I took the model is breathtaking. She did another one, similar style with like bees and beehives and this beautiful, God, it's just, it was tempting. It made me think of my kiddo, but my kiddo is 15. And so I took a picture and I sent it to her and I said, "Do you like this? Because I thought of you." And she said, "Oh, that's pretty." And "oh, that's pretty" is not enough of gushing to make me want to buy a cross-stitch chart that big and stitch it, because teenagers are fickle. I remember being a teenager and I was fickle. So we're just going to admire for now. But Jill started it. And I can't wait to see how that goes. Anyway, what I got at Tiny Modernist was, the model of this was here too, King of Hearts and Stitches, which also comes with this little stitched looking heart in hand and this little heart berry basket. There you go. Just really loved it, so I bought it. And then this also reminded me of my kiddo. She loves Corbids, which is Tea Party. She's not really into she's into like the witchy aesthetic, but she does not identify, like, she's not religious. So, but it just reminded me of her. And this especially reminded me of her. This reminds me of Emily C. of Eclectic Possessions too. The spooky teapot. Look at the mushrooms and the moth and the little ghost steam. Like this, depending on how Milestone Manor is going, this might have to be a new start for Dark October stitching. It might. But I don't know. That's, that's a discussion for another Flosstube video. This is just show and tell. So I got that, and then I saw this, and I kitted it up, and I started it. This is the Thread Keeper from Tiny Modernist. It reminds me of a Quaker, but not. It's just a sweet little bird with some flowers sitting on a spool of thread with a needle. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I started this at Stitch North, there was no way I was going to finish it. If I started this at Stitch North and stitched on it through the spring and summer, finished it for the Smalls Exchange at Gathering Thread. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my note that goes with this, I'm going to say, hey, you know, like this was started at Stitch North Weekend 1, 2026. Just because, I don't know, I think that's cool. I would think it was cool if I received something like that. And I'm keeping this in the project bag that Rosanna made for me. So I ran around. I went to Roxy Flosco. It's charted in DMC. So I got a piece of 18 count Aida in Cove from Roxy, and I just kind of looked at the colors on the photo and just picked floss colors that seemed to go with it. So I have geranium, Falu red, green thumb, and honey I do. So I started this, and this is all the stitching on it I got done at Stitch North. It's very cloudy and overcast today, so the lighting is pretty terrible, but that's my start so far. So watch this space for progress on that. I also put in about not quite 900 stitches on Gamer. So I'll show you that later. What else did I purchase? So at Evertote / Roxy Flop, you know, their little stitching space, they had model stitches of various projects using their stuff. There was some artsy housewife patterns there. That's the only one I really remember. I very vividly remember the artsy housewife pattern Saucy, with the kind of goblet that said Saucy on it and the Canada Goose. Very cute. They had stitched the modern folk embroidery pattern, I think it's like Birds in a Vase. I have it. I have a PDF pattern of it, and was like, because I haven't stitched in modern folk embroidery yet, and so I wanted to start with something small, medium sized, and it's charted monochromatic, and I had been thinking I would stitch it in like a black or a red, but Evertote had a model stitched using these. I took a photo of the model. I will put it right here. It's stitched using Maritimes and Pinery. And I looked at that and I thought, yeah, we're going to do that. That's how we're going to do that. So I purchased, I know I had the fabric for it. It's going to go on a neutral fabric, or maybe one of the neutral fabrics that I was gifted, or one of the fabrics that I have in my stash. We'll do a floss toss later and we'll figure it out. When am I starting this? I don't know. How am I starting it? I know. So that was cool. Had to do that. Annette purchased, oh my gosh, I cannot think of the vendor's name. They were a new to me vendor. I'm going to put it right down here. Really, really lovely folks. They had a whole bunch of overdyed flosses for sale there. They had weeks. They had, not Color and Cotton, Classic Color Works, Gentle Art, I forget, not Threadworks, the other variegated one. I can't think of it. Perimenopause is hitting me like a truck. They were selling sashiko embroidery kits, and Annette showed up with one at our table. She's done them before, and I said, oh, I might have to. I keep looking at sashiko. I keep thinking that looks fun. I also keep thinking I need another hobby, like I need another hole in the head. But I thought, well, it's a retreat and life is short. So I went and I purchased some sashiko supplies. So this is a kit to make 4 coasters. I got some cotton thread, and then that was on Friday, and then Saturday Annette was like, oh, you're going to need special needles for it too. And I thought, oh crap. So on Sunday I went and I purchased some sashiko needles. These are from Cosmo. They had 3 different brands of sashiko needles. I chose the most modestly priced brand because I don't know if I'm going to like this doing sashiko. So yeah, haven't opened any of this yet. Have no idea how to even start. I'm sure there are tutorials on YouTube, because there are tutorials on YouTube for pretty much everything legal. So I got that, and then I got a t-shirt. It just says I cross stitch because I like to stab things. So that's going to be my retreat t-shirt from here on out. And finally, I decided, because people were stitching long dogs there, including Amberly, who is stitching Ragnarok 1/1 on 32 count. It's this beautiful green. I don't even know how to describe the green. It's like a very dark, dark olive green with, I don't know if she's using white. I think she's using like an off-white DMC. 1/1 on 32 count. It is gorgeous. So there were some other folks stitching long dogs there, and I had decided, I don't think I ever shared it with anyone, but it was in my mind that when I stitch a long dog, the first one is going to be Fish and Ships, which I first saw, I think Abby Bell stitched that. And I knew that I wanted it just on a beautiful, basic, very dark blue fabric, and I wanted either a very, very pale blue DMC or like a ghost white. And then I thought, well, I've never really tried Brennan Needle flosses before. I bet Brennan Needle had something. And they have their beautiful speckled flosses that made me really happy. And so I decided that I would choose a Brennan Needle. So first I went to Evertote again to Rocks. I'm looking for the label. Here it is. So this is a 36 count linen in Smooth Sailing by Roxy Floss Co. That's mostly true. In the camera, it's a bit more purple. It's not a purpley blue. It's a light navy. It's beautiful. I love it. I cannot wait. And then I went to Brennan Needle and we did math, because on 1-2-3 Stitch, they give you a floss estimate for using DMC on a 32 count linen. And this is Brennan Needle, which is 10 yards on on a 36 count. So when, I don't know when, but when I stitch Fish and Ships by Long Dog, it's going to be using Brennan needle on Roxy. And because I am not truly an almost 44-year-old adult human, I am actually 2 12-year-olds in a trench coat. I am delighted that the colorway of this floss is #Dickieberg, because apparently a couple of years ago there was an iceberg floating past Newfoundland that looked just like a penis. And I think if you search #Dickieberg, you'll be able to see photos of it. Anyway, because I am 2 12-year-olds in a trench coat, that pleases me an embarrassing amount. It amuses me so much. So yeah, Dickieberg. So I'm looking forward to that. When is that happening? I don't know. I want to finish a couple of things this year first before I decide any major, large new starts. Do I have to? No, because as the Megans say, the Megans of Long Distance Stitchers, as they say, your craft projects don't go bad. It's not like they're fruit. They don't spoil. But I get to feeling anxious if I have too many whips at once. So, and folks, I think that's my Stitch North haul. Absolutely going to go again, hopefully to weekend 2. So because there are a lot of folks heading into weekend 2 that I'm not going to be able to hug, who I would really like to hug, like Mandy and Danielle and Helen T, Helen of the Ditty Stitcher, and Megan and Michelle. It's going to be a good time, you guys. I hope you have a blast this weekend. Next year, hopefully I'll be there too. If not, I'll be at weekend 1 with Pam and Dee and everybody else, and it'll be a good time. So look for a regular Flosstube update in May sometime. I also am going to do a Stitch with Me within the next week or so, because there is a tag that I want to do from a relatively new Flosstuber. And so I figured rather than just sitting here and answering questions, I would answer the tag questions while I'm stitching, and you can watch me stitch and listen. Still need to figure out the logistics, like the nuts and bolts of setting up the camera, but that's my problem and I'll figure it out. So thanks for hanging out with me today, folks. If you're going to Stitch North this weekend, I hope you have a fabulous time. If you were at Stitch North with me last weekend, I had a great time. Thanks for being there. So until next time, take it easy, friends. I'll catch you around the internet. Take care of yourselves. Don't vote for fascists.